The Owensboro Board of Commissioners regular meeting September 17th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask City Clerk Beth Davis to please call the roll.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Neesmith.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Caslen.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, if you're able to stand, please stand for the invocation and the pledge led by Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Bow your heads with me to meditate or pray, whichever is your choice. Dear Heavenly and gracious Father, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings you provide, and most importantly for living in this beautiful city on a river, Owensboro, Kentucky. Help us tonight as we make decisions affecting our community and our fellow citizens, that those decisions be pleasing under you and following your way in your light. Lord, we want to thank you for all the blessings of this beautiful community, the great events we've had like the air show this past weekend, all of the upcoming events that are going to happen soon, including Trail of Treats. We want to also lift up new jobs in our community and the economic and spiritual vitality of our city. Lord, we also want to praise and bless our city workers. Keep them safe. Bless them for all the wonderful work they do to keep our community safe and beautiful. And thank you, Lord, for blessing Owensboro, Kentucky as an all-American city. In Jesus' name, amen. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of proclamations. Is Terry Smith here? General Evan Shelby, chapter DAR. Is that right? Huh? What's DAR mean?
Daughters of the American Revolution.
I think I knew that. Okay. You did?
You signed many of these for me.
I know it. The City of Owensboro Proclamation. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim the week of 17 September through 23 September 2024 as the Constitution Week in the City of Owensboro, and ask all citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787. All right.
I'm glad you read that. I'm just going to say a few words, very few words. My name is Terry Smith, and I think Mayor Watson has signed like 6 of these for me, and I really appreciate it. And I just want to give you a little brief synopsis of why the daughters do the proclamation. Back in 1955, they went to Congress and Congress passed the law. And then in 1956, President General Eisenhower signed the first proclamation. And ever since then, the daughters have gone around in schools, put out flyers, pass out Constitution books. And I think during this time that our country is in, I think it's a great time for everybody to learn the Constitution. And I appreciate having me here today, and thank you again for signing our proclamation.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you, sir?
All right. All right, this is a proclamation from the city of Owensboro speaking about Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. Whereas more than 43 million Americans can't read or write at the most basic level, while 62.7 million lack basic math skills, as well as the credentials and skills necessary to succeed in post-secondary education. Whereas every year, one in three young adults drops out of high school. Whereas American Action Forum estimates that America is short an estimated 7.5 million private sector workers across all skill levels. Whereas adult education programs contribute to solving these challenges by helping Americans move along the continuum in their educational journey to achieve basic skills and get prepared for a career and college. And whereas adult education programs in high schools and adult schools and community colleges and community centers offer low-cost, high-value programs that upgrade the skill sets of our citizens. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim September 16th through the 20th as Adult Education and Family Literacy Week in Owensboro and encourage all citizens to learn more about it. All right.
Well, thank you, Mayor Watson, and I'll be even more brief. I actually joined the Owensboro community in February after taking a job with OCTC last November as the Director of Adult Education, and we were recently recognized in Frankfort as one of only 4 programs in the state of Kentucky out of 26 to achieve our goals. So I have an amazing team. We have an amazing college here in this community, and I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity to serve our GED students, our refugee population, our non-native English speakers. The work we do, incredibly important, I think, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be amongst you today and to have such an amazing team and to work at such an amazing school. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the proclamation.
Thank you, sir. Okay, critical incident stress debriefing. CISD, Battalion Chief Roberto Grant.
Well, thank you, Mayor, elected officials, city administration. I want to talk about critical incident stress debriefing. It's something our department has became more in tune to. It's one of the topics that our Chief Howard, developed in our 2022-2027 strategic plan as an opportunity for improvement. So I'd like to talk about that tonight. So what we're going to talk about tonight is first responder mental health, CISD, our peer support team, which is in its infancy, and past and future events. All right, so what exactly is first responder mental health? From the International Association of Firefighters, the rates of mental health issues among firefighters are alarming. Actually, 1 in 5 struggle with conditions such as depression and anxiety within the fire service. Substance abuse disorders are more prevalent, with 85% of firefighters reporting drinking in the past month. Nearly half experience sleep disorders and or burnout. As you all know, with our profession, sleep is not always consistent, so obviously you can see where that can be a challenge. From the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, firefighters and paramedics exhibit symptoms of PTSD at an estimated rate of 20% versus the 3.5% for the general population. Firefighters also have 40% higher suicide rates than our general pop, 18 per 100,000 versus 13 per 100,000. So what is CISD? critical incident stress debriefing. It's a group-based technique to process traumatic events. Those traumatic events can be internally and externally within the fire service. It's guided by a chaplain, our peer support member, and/or outside participants. It's challenging to identify a threshold for implementation. We're trying to develop the policies of what exactly is an event that needs that peer support team. So, like I said, that's in it's a work in process, but we're developing. I think we're in the right direction to develop those policies and procedures to identify those needs. And individual needs can be longer lasting. Well, okay, so what is our peer support? It's beneficial to all emergency response agencies for the resilience of first responders. Trained OFD personnel can provide that service. Currently, we have 7 trained peer support personnel on our department. This past week, we actually trained 4. The International Association of Firefighters came in and put on a 2-day course for us, so now we're up to 4, which is huge. Great partners in statewide network are available if needed. One of our long-term goals with this is to build a collaborative team approach where we can maybe go out and reach out to other neighboring departments for their need. And at the same time, if we have an incident where maybe some of our personnel are just not comfortable talking internally, we can reach out to our neighbors to help us out. And it's also a stigma to overcome, because a lot of times people think, well, I don't need to talk to somebody. I don't need that. I'm a firefighter. So we're trying to break that stigma down to make it aware that it's okay to talk. Like I said, past and future, there's room for improvement in responder mental health identified in the current strategic plans we talked about. It's a stigma among our industry. One size fits all response from EAP can be inadequate for first responders. And that's not a knock against EAP, because those folks provide great services, but sometimes it's hard for them to grasp the things that we have to see and deal with. We see some pretty gruesome things, unfortunately, and we have to, figure out a way to deal with those. So through the peer support program, we can have that team approach where we can handle some of those issues internally. Awareness for the scope of mental health as an issue increased for the past 2 decades. So we talked about stigma. We're trying to break down those walls and barriers to make it more accessible for people to use those services. All right, the next steps to bolster mental health and awareness and response. We want to develop a clear protocol for when and how to implement CISD. As I mentioned earlier, we're in the process of developing those policies and procedures to identify that need, right? We're going to continue to educate all personnel on warning signs and availability of resources. We've kind of got a joke around the firehouse. We want to read the room, right? So we want to make sure we all look out for each other, all our brothers and sisters, because, just this past week we had an incident where it was a traumatic event. So we actually sent out a couple of our peer support team members to go to that particular station just to talk. Hey, we're here if you need us. So that's huge, right? We want to maintain and grow partnerships to adapt to responder needs. As I mentioned earlier, there's some neighboring departments that have some resources, and we like to develop our own internal resources to maybe we can collaborate and work together. Some of the takeaways: our department needs resilient teams made up of resilient members to thrive. The team that works hard and finds joy in that work provides the best service to our community. And that's the end of the day. That's what we want to do, right? It is a moral imperative of the Owensboro Fire Department to meet the mental health needs of our first responders. Like I said, that's internally, Chief Howard's big on this. We want to make sure that we're meeting the need for what our personnel need. And awareness for availability of resources are key to our success. So like I said earlier, we're slowly building our team up so we can have those team members available. Like I said, it's in infancy, but there's a lot of we went to the city of Evansville about a month ago and met with their administration, and they've actually got an app, completely anonymous. It's got numbers on there you can call, and if for any brother and sister of the fire service that needs that help. And that's all I got. Any questions?
Thanks, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the leaf season 2024. Mr. Reagan, sanitation manager.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Hunter Reagan. I'm the sanitation manager with Owensboro Public Works located at 1410 West 5th Street. Tonight, I'll be discussing the upcoming leaf collection season from October 16th to February 15th. This year, we'll be starting in Zone 2A. This zone runs from the Ohio River to 9th Street and Fredica to Triplet. During the leaf season, we will complete 3 passes, which consist of 10 zones per pass. Our target dates are with the first pass going from October 16th to November the 11th. The second pass is from November the 13th to December the 16th. And the third pass is from December the 18th to February 15th. This will include all the call-ins at the conclusion of the third pass. The 3 methods of disposal are the first being 6 trucks with vacuums attached. Each truck will be assigned with 3 employees per truck, 1 driver, 1 person operating the vacuum, and the other raking leaves. All trucks will be operating the same zone until complete. Then they will proceed to the next zone. This will be Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, etc. The second option is the bag leaf collection. Residents can place the bag leaves at the back of the curb with 2 trucks running with 2 employees per truck, and they'll be collected on the day of their scheduled trash service. And the third and final option is bag leaf drop-off. We will have 6 orange dumpsters located at the Owensboro Sports Center parking lot for residents to drop off at their convenience. Some of the ways to bring awareness to the community is by updating the city website daily. Updates can also be found via owensboro.org, Facebook, the Messenger Enquirer, and WBKR and WBIO. Residents can help by not blocking piles with parked cars and give 10 feet of clearance between fixed objects. Do not mix brush, foreign objects with leaves. Do not wet the leaves. Do not cover water meter jar lids, as a machine will remove these. In addition, we ask residents to rake the leaves curbside in the yard within 6 feet of the curb, not in the street or the sidewalk. For residents looking to find information, we advise to check for your own mailers, inserts, leaf season press will release, and newspaper updates, and the city website. The hours of operation will be Monday through Friday from 6 to 2:30, and as a need basis from Saturday from 6 to 12, and occasionally extended hours as needed. In conclusion, last year's leaf season, we collected 2,231,243 pounds of leaves, or 1,116 tons. The first pass was completed November the 14th, the second pass was completed December 19th, and the third was January 16th, with all call-ins completed by February the 15th. Questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Commissioner Cashman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Reagan, I was wondering, you know, you said not to rake them into the street. I see that pretty often.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any kind of a fine or anybody that looks for that?
We do. There's considered an illicit discharge. The engineering department, they strongly discourage that, and the reason behind that is that will block the storm drains, or it can get into the curb, which is also part of the stormwater system, and that can lead to flooding.
Right.
That's why we discourage that.
I was just curious because it seems like it's always the same people.
Yeah.
Every year that I noticed whenever I drive to and from City Hall doing it.
Yes, it's preferred to put it between the sidewalk and the back of the curb, and that usually it's a 2-foot section there, and that's the best place for service.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is city project list. City manager.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The list is in your packet. I know you have a hard copy in front of you as well. So I'll just, one specific project I'd like to highlight. We're happy to report that the Cravens Pool is complete. It's passed all inspections, so it is now ready to open. We have scheduled a ribbon cutting for Friday at 11 a.m. That's this Friday at 11. Admission will be free, along with free hot dogs and drinks, along with various prizes and activities to celebrate the occasion. Schools are out on Friday, which is why we're doing it this week. Local schools are out. It's a professional development day for teachers, I believe. So schools are out. The forecast is for warm weather, and we hope for a great turnout as we reopen this facility.
Anything else?
Just any comments or questions, should you have any?
don't think so. Okay. Item 5A, consider approval of minutes dated September the 3rd, 2024. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, 5B, consider these board appointments, please. Is that you made or that me? That's me. Apollo Area Neighborhood Alliance, reappoint Curtis King and Carla King to a 2-year term effective September the 20th, 2024. And Owensboro Health Board of Directors, reappoint Phil Riney and Suzanne Harris to a 3-year term effective November the 1st, 2024. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, second reading of ordinance. This will be a roll call vote.
Ordinance 15-2024, an ordinance annexing to the city of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the county of Davis adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 3001 West 2nd Street, 35 Carter Road, and 45 Carter Road, containing a total of 7.996 acres more or less, at the request of the city of Owensboro, Kentucky. Read for approval on second reading the 17th day of September, 2024.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, do you have anything to add to that?
Just briefly, this is the second reading of an ordinance for the consensual annexation of approximately 8 acres at the corner of 2nd Street and Carter Road, which is the site for the new senior center. The senior center is a city agency, so this gets the new location within city limits.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Roll.
Can I ask him a question?
Commissioner Glenn.
So what does 7 million get us? What can we, can we build houses and what does that translate
No,
to?
it won't be houses. It'll be a facility there. We're in the design process now. Hope to have additional information relatively soon. Leland is guiding that process at this point, along with a delegation, I guess, of representatives from the senior center itself, who are, of course, heavily involved in the design process. So total budget, I think, is actually $6.5 million, $4.5 million from the city, $2 million from the county. Of course, we spend $1 million on acquisition of the property, about $500,000 for design. So that leaves a construction budget of $5 million.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Yes, yes, yes.
Commissioner Neesmith,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Caslen,
Yes, way overdue.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 7, municipal orders.
Municipal Order 27-2024, a municipal order authorizing the application for funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the total amount of $7 million to produce affordable housing rental units. Read for approval on one reading the 17th day of September, 2024.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve this. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager.
The Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing grant provides $100 million in a second round of funding for communities nationwide to apply to remove barriers to affordable housing. This municipal order approves an application for the city of Owensboro in the amount of $7 million to be used to create and expand affordable rental housing opportunities within the city. The funds will support the construction of new affordable rental units or the rehabilitation of existing properties, providing housing for low to moderate income residents. The initiative aims to address the housing needs and improve quality of life for citizens in Owensboro. There is no match for this grant. You may remember last year, I think we applied for $10 million. That was not funded, so we thought maybe we'd come back with a more modest proposal this time. So we are proposing a $7 million grant application.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
This is where I screwed up. I thought we were on this item. So what do we get? That's my question. So what can we invest in with $7 million
Yeah,
in terms of affordable housing?
I'd ask Abby to head to the podium as well. But as the comments just said, it would be some rental units, probably some new, and some rehabilitation of existing units as well.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, Commissioner, we'll do an RFP to developers to provide them an opportunity to give the proposals back to us so we can see who's competitive, who's not, and how many rental units we can actually get out of that fund.
Are we looking at like duplexes, apartments, or a mixture?
But it's just a multi-family housing proposal is what we're looking at.
Well, that's great. Exciting. That's awesome. Right. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Nate. Thank
Any
you.
other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 7B, please.
Municipal Order 28-2024, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an Economic Development Fund, EDF grant, application to the Kentucky Economic Development Cabinet for funding to assist Ms. Can Inc. in the expansion of its food processing facility, and authorizing the city to accept EDF grant funds from the cabinet for economic development in the amount of $500,000 for said project. Read for approval on one reading the 17th day of September 2024.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. In late July, Ms. Can, or Ragu, as some people still call it, announced an expansion to their local facility with an investment of $156 million and 44 new jobs. The State Economic Development Cabinet is providing a $500,000 grant to Ms. Can for the project. The city is serving as a pass-through for the grant, and this municipal order approves the paperwork for the state to flow the funds through us as we facilitate the funding on Ms. Can's behalf. The city has no obligations related to this funding. It is solely a pass-through operation for us.
Thank you. Working on it. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. City Manager items.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. First, Angela Waninger will present the August financial report.
Ms. Waniger.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
My report will be for the month of and year-to-date August, and it's 2 months with our fiscal year beginning July 1. So for the first slide, the month of August, our actual revenues were $5,043,221, which were less than the budgeted revenues of $5,083,039, resulting in a variance of $39,818. This variance is primarily due to lower occupational withholding, timing in the Owensboro Riverport contribution, which is partially offset by higher insurance premium license fee. Our next slide is going to be year-to-date or 2 months ended August for total revenues of $10,507,001, which was higher than budgeted revenues of $10,400,015 for a variance of $106,986. This variance is primarily due to higher insurance premium license fees offset by the lower occupational withholding. For our next slide is the month of August expenditures. Actuals were $7,639,216. This was less than budgeted expenditures of $11,137,997 for a variance of $3,498,781. This is primarily due to timing in transfers and contributions and lower maintenance and supplies. And if you'll remember, the contribution that we made on behalf of the ARPA funds was $2.5 million to OMU. So that's that variance, and we put that budget out there not knowing when they're going to ask for those withdrawals. So we'll see that variance until they extinguish that. In our next slide, for the 2 months ended August, we have actual expenditures of $12,169,976, which was less than budgeted expenditures of $16,959,931 for a variance of $4,789,955. Again, this variance is primarily due to timing in the transfers and contributions. It is also offset by lower maintenance and supplies. And for the last slide, this chart demonstrates the cyclical nature of the city's monthly revenues and expenditures. The expenses are reflected in red, and the revenues are reflected in green. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to file the report for audit. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any other further discussion, deletions, or additions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 8B, City Manager.
Yes, thank you. We have the following personnel appointments for your consideration. William Pylan, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to refuse truck driver with sanitation department effective September 30th. Dylan Nobles, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to firefighter with the fire department effective October 7th. Julia Burchett and Allison Mayer, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointments to telecommunicator with the police department effective October 7th. Aaliyah Howard and Charity Keener, probationary full-time non-civil service appointments to the position of telecommunicator with the police department effective October 21st. And Whitney McFarland, probationary full-time non-civil service promotional appointment to purchasing specialist with finance department effective September 22nd.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments, please. Could I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8C, City Manager comments.
A couple of comments tonight, Mayor. First, as everyone is aware, the air show was last weekend. I'd like to acknowledge the huge effort it takes on behalf of the city and city staff, really across the full organization, of course, with Tim and Eric and the Public Events Department, but also with police, fire, and public works in particular. It is a huge effort. It was a very successful event. All feedback that I've heard thus far has been very, very overwhelmingly positive. Tim Ross, I think, is going to make just a few comments and provide some facts and figures on the event as far as attendance and things of that nature.
Mr. Ross.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Obviously, an exciting weekend that we had for everybody. And Shaylee Velez just gave us a quick highlight video. If we could show that, just kind of wrap up the weekend, and then I'll give you a little kind of highlight of some of the figures and numbers of it.
Dang Owensboro, we are gonna fly! Your United States Air Force's F-35A Lightning II. From the right.
The Blue Angel Diamond.
So obviously a pretty exciting weekend. Obviously lots and lots of comments from folks that had a great time. As Nate said, very few negative comments really from anybody. But as Nate was alluding to, obviously it's a huge team effort. It's not just a couple of people that do it. Between fire and police and our public works folks, videographers, photographers, parks department folks, multiple agencies on the Indiana side as well as throughout Kentucky. We probably had, obviously planning goes into it, but even just on site each day, there was between 60 and 70 folks that were helping make sure it was all wrapped up and ready to go to put on a good show, not just to entertain, but to make sure it runs smoothly with road closures and trash cleanup and signage and banners and all those kind of things that certainly don't go unnoticed. We had so many comments from the performer teams that come to Owensboro, and we're really creating a niche in that industry for our market here, even though we're not a major market in an enormous city. They really value coming to Owensboro, I think, which is testament to the fact that they continue to come back. At least they continue to want to come back to Owensboro, which is great. So certainly a big team effort. We draw a ton of visitors that come. It's not just the tri-state. Obviously, the majority of that crowd that there is probably within a quick drive distance. But just in the last week, Shaylee does a lot of that communication with our folks on social media and such. But I was responding to voicemails, emails, phone calls from people from Oklahoma, Florida, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and almost everywhere in between. Some of the teams that were here, I know they had family and friends that drove to come see them perform here in Owensboro because the weekend worked or it was just where they wanted to come, but they were driving up from Pensacola, driving from Memphis, driving from Pennsylvania to come to this city. So even the performers had folks coming in. One of the emails I remember responding to on Sunday morning was someone that was thanking us for hosting a great boys weekend that he does with him and his sons. Has become a kind of a tradition for him to come up air show weekend, and they're from Birmingham, Alabama. There's a lot of other shows that they could go to down in Florida on the coast, but for some reason, don't know why, they came to Owensboro one time, and now it's kind of become a tradition for that for him and his boys, so that's pretty exciting for us. Convention Center, obviously, is where you can purchase tickets, so they had a really strong weekend, strongest weekend they've had yet with air show, and they had gross sales of a little over $130,000 between ticket sales, food and beverage sales, so that was really strong for them. And then as far as attendance numbers overall, based on crowd density and some figures that we take a look at, obviously Friday evening we had to cancel due to weather, about an hour and 45 minutes into it, so that put a damper on Friday night. But in spite of that, The weekend was really, really strong, and we easily had more than 60,000 folks that enjoyed the activities between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was significant, and just a big thank you to this commission for continuing to see the vision for that weekend. It has an impact not only for, obviously, the city to host something that's exciting, but you know, the restaurants have an impact from that. There's lots of businesses in town. I met the gentleman the other day that owns Gramps Donuts, and he was like, oh my goodness, those teams were in buying dozens and dozens. Every day they were in and getting social media. So they have an impact on lots of businesses, you know, throughout the community during Air Show weekend. I know the CVB was excited because they had a ball tournament that came to town specifically during Air Show weekend, right? So they could be entertained besides playing their tournament games during the morning and early afternoon. So it was a good weekend. It all came together. And again, big thanks to our fire folks, police folks, public works. I call these folks and text them at all hours of the day and night to jump through some hoops and solve some problems, and they do it without hesitation to make it work. So I'm glad we can be a small part of that. Happy to answer any questions if you want.
Yeah, they rented the whole basement of the Miller House on Saturday night or Friday night. I don't know which one it was, but because there were a lot of people that came to the door, just thought they could get in down there. But they love it here, and had a chance to talk to a bunch of them, you know, and they just said, and I asked them about the bridge, and they said, we love it being there if you're not going to tear it down. I said, we're not going to tear it down. And he said, you got that other bridge? And I said, no, I'm not going to tear it. But they do love it, and they love Owensboro. I mean, the camaraderie, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Neesmith, but I think you housed them, didn't you? And they had nothing but compliments about the entire community, which bodes well. They have 37 events, I think he told me.
I think it's 33 or 34, but it depends each year, slightly different. Yep.
So they're telling our story all across the country, I'm sure. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, for my second comment, we talk often about what a wonderful staff that we have here, and it's good to see our employees be recognized. And recently, one of our city employees was given an honor recognizing his contributions and experience not only locally but at the state level as well. We received notification that 911 Director Paul Ney was inducted into the Kentucky 911 Hall of Fame. So I'd like to read the letter that we received. It said, I'm writing to inform you of a significant honor awarded to Director Paul Ney. On September 5th, 2024, at the Kentucky Emergency Services Conference Awards Banquet, Director Ney was inducted into the Kentucky 911 Hall of Fame. This induction is a testament to his unwavering dedication and outstanding contributions to 911 and emergency services throughout the Commonwealth. Director Ney's tireless efforts have not only improved the effectiveness of our emergency response systems, but have also fostered a culture of excellence and commitment within our 911 services. His leadership has had a profound impact on the safety and well-being of our communities. So, Mayor, I just wanted to publicly acknowledge Paul's well-awarded effort, or well-deserved effort.
Please come to the podium, Paul. Let me see a grin out of you, just one. There you go.
So, Paul, congratulations. It's well-deserved. I know when I was in Hopkinsville, if we had an issue in Hopkinsville at our ESS center, we called Paul. And so his expertise is known throughout the state. So well-deserved, Paul, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say it's an honor and privilege to work for you guys. I work for the taxpayers, and I enjoy what I do every day. And I do it for the citizens of Owensboro, because one day I'm going to need the services, right? You never know when you wake up, today's the day you're going to have to call 911 for an emergency, but when you do, you want it to work. And so I'm honored and just humbled to receive the award, but I do it for the citizens, and I do it for everyone so they have a safe. And I want if we can make a difference in someone's life and they have a mom again because we're able to get the fire there quicker and they can celebrate Christmas again, then that's what it's about.
Very impressive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
Anything else, sir? Okay, communication from elected officials. Commissioner Smith-Wright.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
When Tim was up there, I was wanting to thank him and Shaylee and the whole group for the fantastic job you did. I stayed down at the Hampton Inn for the air show, and I'm just amazed at our citizens, because I'm looking out my window over McConnell Plaza, and all of those people And when they leave, there's not a piece of trash, paper, anything, because our citizens clean up for themselves. And I mean, that's amazing to have that many people, and all you see maybe is some ice that they've dumped their coolers. But as far as trash, it's all in the toters. And I'm just amazed at that. And then also, I just wanted to say that the wayfinding signs are beautiful, and everybody's talking about them. Before they put the big ones up, I came in, I told Nate, I said, what's up with them little signs? You can't read those things. And he says, that's for the people who are walking. But they're really nice, and they're easily to read, and they're good. And I just want to say that on Saturday at 5 o'clock in front of the convention center, there will be Grooving on the Green. You're asked to bring your lawn chairs and enjoy some music, and all this stuff is free. And one other thing. Oh, the other thing I have is a question for the police department. Anybody here? I
see all this. What's this stuff?
Well, it's just a question that I'm asked, and I've been asked a lot lately about parking. You know, years ago, I used to think that you had to park if you parked on the right-hand side of the street, you face that way. But now there are a lot of people that are facing the opposite way, and folks are saying, is that against the law? Can you park like that? Because people in my neighborhood are parking all over the place. So I just had that question.
No, you're still not allowed to park against traffic.
Okay.
State your name and address for the record.
Mike Staples, major with the police department, 222 East 9th Street. Should work. No, it's still illegal to park against the flow of traffic. You still need to park on the right side of the road.
Okay, I didn't, things change, and sometimes you're not in the know,
No.
so I just thought I'd ask.
That has not changed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Commissioner Neesmith?
I would only echo what everyone said about the air show. Tim, Shaylee, and all, it's amazing, all of the workers that make these things happen. And what was really exciting is that while our hotel was full, we did have 80 rooms that had the Blue Angels and the ground crews, but a lot of the other rooms were their families who had come to see them and their friends and stuff. And it was really like a family reunion. It makes you a little sappy when you think about it and stuff. So thank you to everybody that made that happen, and just makes Owensboro just proud to be to say I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to give a shout out to, there is a steering committee, and it's of the Alliance for a Drug-Free Owensboro in Davis County, and they received a certification from the state this year, just a few weeks ago, and so Owensboro is now dedicated and has a title of being recovery ready. And what that means is that then when we apply for grants from either the state or from the federal government, that we have a leg up, because so many of our communities, advocacies and our treatment centers and everybody has done so much that they meet quite a few standards. I can't remember the number of pages that Rosalind Clark told me that team put together, but I really think it was something like in the $4,000 or $5,000, but pages thing, and everyone from the hospital to all of our treatment centers and private providers, and it was really amazing. But the best part of it is a lot of those funds and things are going to be working towards prevention. Prevention is the key. If we've got to start at the younger ages and some focus on our children in our schools. So just a shout out to all those team members.
Thank you. I knew there was a reason I put you on that committee.
I can't take any credit.
Commissioner Glenn, please.
I want to basically echo all of the praise for the air show, and really thank Tim and his staff, his huge staff of, 2 people, it's kind of like Abby's staff, for their great work, and Shaylee as well. It's a great event, and we're proud to host it. Excited about Craven's Pool. Can't wait to see that happen. Appreciate all the hard work that's gone into making that a reality. I want to thank Commissioner Smithwright for organizing the 911 walk, the memorial walk. Got to participate in that. Thought it was a great event. Thought Leslie McCarty, our speaker, did a fine job, and he had a good turnout. So thank you again for doing that. We should never forget 9/11. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Commissioner Castle.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of piggybacking off of what everybody else said, you know, the air show was fantastic. I was out of town on Saturday, so Friday and Saturday, so I didn't get to see it, but I had a ball game out at St. Pius. My grandchildren did, and I spent the day out there, and I think I saw as much as the people down here on the river saw. Sometimes a pitcher would be ready to make a pitch and just stop and stare up, you know. And there were a couple of plays missed because of the jets flying over. Also, Groovin' on the Green is going to be in front of the convention center this year. It's typically been held in front in Monetta Sleep Park. It's a great time. Rhythm and blues. It's outgrown the park, so now it's going to be shared out in the wide open, and hopefully the city of Owensboro will embrace it and show up. And I hope everybody does, because it's a lot of good music, good crowd, good time. Also, I met with the Visitors Bureau today, and they were talking about the wayfinding signs and how they want to thank the city for the help in putting those signs up, or for putting those signs up and helping our tourists find their way around. I know from traveling in other cities that have them, a lot of times it will alert you to something you didn't even think about. You know, you'll see sign pointing to, let's just say, the Bluegrass Center, and you might be going to something else and say, well, let's go to this. But overall, the Visitors Bureau were also talking about the Down syndrome tournament that we had at Jack Fisher Park, and how they were so impressed with the people of this community that reached out and helped in so many ways with the kids there and embraced all of them. And it just speaks so loudly of how great our community is and how much love and respect we all have for each other. I know if you look on Facebook or social media in general, you see a lot of negative comments, but we got it going on in this city, and I appreciate everybody that's made such a good impression on our visitors. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. And it was Special Olympics.
Yes. I'm sorry.
And I got to throw out the first pitch, and the little guy catching behind me, he goes, "Can't you throw it any harder than that?" I said, "Can you catch it?" And he says, "I'll catch it." And the little rascal did. So that was pretty cool, and it was a very well attended, and they just bragged on Fisher Park as just the epitome of what they've had the opportunity to play on with that new surface and everything. So, okay, communication from, we did that. Open public forum. Members of the audience may address the Board of Commissioners on any matter of public concern that was not on the agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of the commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct the city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. The meetings are not intended to serve as public forums for candidates who are campaigning for political office. Political candidates will not be allowed to use the commission meetings to promote their candidacy for public use. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the commission, please make their way to the podium. To be recognized, speakers must state their name and address for the record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Open mic. Maria, get on up there.
DeMarcus Curry, pastor, Asbury United Methodist Church, 2711 Cravens Avenue. just want to bring back to the attention of the city. I know it's been an issue for a while, but I think it needs to be put at the top of the list somewhere in the future, very soon, with the homeless population. Just recently, I watched the air show and all the planes. Oh my God, I thought one was about to crash to my house. But when I looked outside, I saw a crowd right outside my house. Like they're just there with carts of clothing and all their belongings. And I'm just thinking, what can the city do? We have to do something, because it seems to me like every day the population is growing more and more. So one thing that kind of crossed my mind again, and me and a few people talked about it many times, we have so many abandoned buildings that could be turned into transitional housing, at least for like a short term or something, especially when it comes close to the winter season. I truly believe if the right people that has the right power, the right hands to get something going, we can help solve something that's been going on for a while. I do understand we do have the Homeless Coalition. I'm not sure exactly what they have planned or whatever, but if we do not take action soon, it's just going to continue to grow and grow. There's many people, me myself, I joined the percentage of we're just one paycheck away from being homeless ourselves. So we understand how serious this problem is. And if we do not, as city officials, as the investors or whoever, if we don't do something, I even did like a little business plan myself, like what I could do, just take these abandoned buildings, turn it around. We can create jobs for them as well, places to stay for a short term, help them with, job applying, whatever it is possible. But I really believe if we take some kind of action, at least some kind of care, some kind of care in the world, and quickly, it would help, and it would kind of speed up the process. Again, I know everybody doesn't have the answers, but at least looking at it, it will show that we are truly a city that cares for the people. So I know we can't do it, at the top, but whatever footing that you do have, please use that and get something started as soon as possible. And I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else to come before this commission? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
What? We bringing him books in here, man.
Well, that's part of the presentation, if I even get that far. I got a lot to talk about, so
You
I
got
mean,
3
I don't know
minutes.
if 3 minutes is going to do it or not. Huh, what?
You have 3 minutes, or less.
Well, I'll be here more often then because let's see. I'm going to start with inflation. My mother today just got a letter from SNAP saying that they have dropped her benefits. I think it was $19 from like $62 down to $43. And the caseworker there said that when she got the letter from Frankfurt, or wherever the department head is, she was like, oh boy, we're going to hear it now. So I'm sure there's going to be a hailstorm coming y'all's way. Now, I know y'all have nothing to do with it, but you're going to hear complaints anyway. Now, in inflation, they say that it's gradually growing down, and I think the Federal Reserve is supposed to drop like a quarter point or something like that. Food prices are still up, as far as I know. Eggs are $4 or $5 a dozen. Now, I know this is the Bible Belt, and I know your good book tells you that you will be supplied with everything. You will not have a want. And actually, that is true that I know of. Science, I think, this year has proven that we have an ocean below us that has 3 times the amount of all the water on the surface. So if that's what science says, and they have studies to prove that, we have everything we need. The only thing that keeps us from supply is corporate and government regulation. We have oil in Alaska that could be pumped, but for some reason the government decides it's best to leave it in the ground. It's there for us to use, and I'm sure we can use it. But yeah, government regulation says no, we can't. Now, this is election year, and for some reason our gas prices are very low. I've heard of OPEC cutting production to make prices go higher. I haven't heard anything about oil production, but apparently our gas is extremely low. Is that because of an election year? Maybe manipulating to try to get votes? I don't know. But I think government needs, see, this is, I guess I'll try to get to this. This right here is like the laws and regulations y'all put in each year. Then you put more in and more in. And when you do it over time, it's like a noose around the neck. It gets tighter and tighter. But when you do it, if you did it all at once, there would be a riot. But you do it over time, people get used to it, and you take more of our freedoms and everything's away. So I think as far as your politicians, your legislators, you make ordinance and regulations, y'all need to back off on the regulations, start freeing things up, freeing people up to enjoy their, like I think one of the candidates, I ain't gonna say who, said that they wanted to not tax the.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
I
it.
will return.
Anybody else? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.